Has Brady's importance to the Pats been overrated with Belichick?
Yes, it has.
What?
I have to comment on what Philip Rivers said first because it's so wrongheaded, and I'm a Philip Rivers fan. If the ball's never, Philip Rivers has to think it through. The reason he's the GOAT, if he was in the conversation then, he's won 2 more Super Bowls since then. Now, they've all been close, within a field goal either way. But the idea is not that had there not been an interception, they would have lost. The idea is, as usual, Brady's team 9 times has been in a position to win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. He's put him in a position 9 times, and 2/3 of the time he gets it. So 50% of the seasons of his career, he makes the Super Bowl. In 2/3 of those seasons, he wins the freaking Super Bowl. Of course, he's the GOAT. May not be the BOAT, the best of all time. Aaron Rodgers better than him, but he hasn't been surrounded in the same situation, et cetera, et cetera.
You just make that up, the BOAT, or people really say that?
That's what I'm saying. Now they'll start saying it.
Wow.
He is the GOAT, clearly. And yes, he gets too much credit because he is the GOAT for the reasons I just said. If Philip Rivers wants to make the following point, I'm with it. He had Belichick. He had a perfect situation. Belichick also had him, yes. But you know who else Belichick had? Take a look at this. Here are other guys Belichick had. What's the difference between Brady and them? Brady is better, for sure. You know why? Because Brady would have been a great quarterback wherever he went. The greatness is inside Tom Brady. But there's a difference between great, just another great quarterback.
Wait,
Philip Rivers.
Let's explain this to everybody, because this is very interesting. So you're comparing Tom Brady's numbers under Belichick to all other backup quarterbacks during that time.
Correct.
And they have
same completion
pretty
percentage.
much the same exact numbers.
Yeah, well, not exact. Like, Tom Brady wins more. I give him credit for that. Brady has something in him that can lead, and he's clutch. He's just excellent. Brady would be great no matter what. Philip Rivers. There are other quarterbacks who are great, but the reason he is the greatest of all time is clearly because he's playing for Belichick.
That graphic is about to be in Fox.
So yes, he gets a little too much credit.
Well, first of all, let me chime in, Coach, just real quick. First of all the superlatives that you just threw out about Brady just proves that you're wrong, not that you're right. When you talk about his leadership, when you talk about the intangibles, when you talk about his overall level of production, this is the bottom line. Tom Brady is 207-60 as a regular season quarterback. His record is 30-10. In the postseason, okay? You're talking about a completion percentage that pretty much stays the same from the regular season to the postseason. Philip Rivers, with all due respect, I don't want to hear a damn word from you. You're 5-6 in the postseason. You've never played in a Super Bowl once. For you, I understand that it's one thing for a pundit or a commentator to say something about Tom Brady in comparison to others. But you, Philip Rivers, while you're still playing, be quiet. I respect Philip Rivers, but damn it, no, you can't be talking about Tom Brady. Now, having said all of that, let's also understand something. When you talk about what comes along, like you said, winning football games is hard. Why is Tom Brady considered the GOAT? It ain't just because of numbers. It ain't just because of the Super Bowl appearance. It's the model of consistency that he has exercised. It's the level of discipline. It's the commitment to excellence. It's the willingness to sacrifice on behalf of what's in the best interest of the team. All of these things matter, which is why you can't measure him by just numbers, because he's the kind of guy that has proven at times he'll sacrifice numbers for what he deems better.
When you have these kind of conversations, it's always interesting because it's, sit around in a bar and have a beer and say, okay, let's argue that. I imagine I'd love to see when a post-career, and we're lucky to have so many Hall of Fame quarterbacks playing at the same time. Mm-hmm. So the group he's around is a little bit different than some of the others. But I imagine them when they're old like me and sitting around having a beer. Okay, we're going to hash out right here. Who's the greatest of all time? And Drew Brees is going to throw out these numbers and Peyton. And Tom Brady's going to sit there with a fistful of rings, just go, excuse me.
Yeah.
So when you have these conversations, and then whenever I get drawn into them, I go, wait a minute, let's set the ground rules first. Does winning and Super Bowls, where is that in the equation? Because Dan Marino, Warren Moon, who I worked with, phenomenal quarterbacks, never had a Super Bowl. So if we're going to talk about, I like your term, BOAT, we're going to talk about the best of all time versus the greatest of all time, what's the criteria? And let's decide beforehand how much the winning and the Super Bowls, what proportion that is.
Let me ask you this thought experiment. How many Super Bowl appearances would Belichick have gotten out of Philip Rivers, and how many wins? Even if you think, considering what he can do with guys who aren't very good without Belichick, I think Philip Rivers probably, I would imagine, a reasonable estimate is half Brady's total. Like, Brady gives you a tremendous premium with all the intangibles.
Whereas
That's
somebody
still
like Aaron Rodgers, I think, would eclipse Brady.
I agree.
Brady always
As
has
a
had
coach,
incredible
I
talent
bristle a
around
little
him.
bit with the idea of separating Brady and Belichick. Because, yes, you can make it. Collectively, they've been brilliant. How would they be differently? Remember, Bill wasn't so brilliant in Cleveland.
That's right.
Well, he was a rookie coach, too.
Right. But regardless, it's when you look at that, and the numbers you show up there, I think, are swayed a little bit, because there's really only been the 1 year when, who was the guy?
Matt Castle?
Yeah, went 11 and 1 and ended up having. So those numbers are kind of skewed, because he really hasn't been hurt all that much.
Right.
But to separate the two, you just don't know whether it would have made a difference or not. And so at the end of the day, they weren't. They are. How are you going to separate Chuck Noll from Terry Bradshaw?
That's right. But here's the problem. Because you started it off by highlighting how we got to set the ground rules. Right. Here's my problem with that. Brian Billick's got a ground set of rules. Eric Mangini might have a ground set of rules.
Sure.
Bill Parcells might have a ground set of rules. You know, the list goes on, and it may vary. So, in other words, there's no, the one definitive thing that no one runs away from are results.
Right.
Everything else is open to interpretation.
Thank you so much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.